What's up, everybody? All right, so we're over on time, so I already talk fast. I'm gonna go even faster, all right? And I've been drinking coffee all morning, just had a Diet Pepsi, like I'm revved up and ready to go. And I'm like a Care Bear, okay? Why is this not going? Oh, hold on, I gotta fix this. You know, I've been getting all this energy from you guys, so it's like I'm like soaking it in. You know when the Care Bears share or whatever, and you get all that energy, so fired up and ready to go. All right, so I'm gonna talk about how discipline equals freedom and how important routines are, and we've heard about that all day, right? So I'm gonna dig a little bit into that, talk about my personal routines and my business routines, and how we can be more productive in less time. And the disclaimer here is that I have very few original thoughts, right? Like all this stuff has been ripped off from somebody else. So everything that you need to know to be successful in life is already on YouTube, right? It's already on Google. So I may or may not attribute some of this stuff to the right people. So, I just want to put that out there. And don't be offended. If I say something that offends you, like that's your choice. But this is me. I do me. You don't have to do it like I do. But I'm just going to tell you how I do it. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. But that's how I do stuff, right? So I don't judge you for what you do. Don't judge me for what I do. Everybody's got their way, like I've been saying all day. So a couple of things about me. I'm not going to really go into bio, but I'm going to talk about who I am and how it relates to what we're going to talk about today, right? So the first thing is I am lazy. I'm probably like one of the laziest people out there because I don't like to work very hard. So if there's something that I can do one time and never do it again by creating a repeatable process, I will spend the time to do that because I don't ever want to have to do it again, right? So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today is related to that. And you got to have that mindset of don't work hard just to work hard. That's a waste of time and you're not going to be productive and you can't scale that activity, right? So I'm not like some built hardworking person. Like I'm actually really a lazy person. That's my mom how I did in school, right? I did the very bare minimum to get by because that's all I had to do. The second thing is I love to indulge. I'm going to talk about discipline, right? But I love to eat, so I exercise every day so I don't get fat. I love to drink beer on the weekends, so I do what I gotta do in order to indulge when I want to, right? So the discipline to eat well during the week and exercise during the week gives me the freedom in the afternoons and the evenings to eat a good dinner or to drink some beer on the weekends, which I'm looking forward to drinking beer with you guys this afternoon. All right? And I was not born this way, right? It's not like some innate God-given power. I wake up every single morning and look in the mirror and make a choice that morning of what I'm going to do, right? It's hard. Like I get up at 5:40 or 4:45 every morning because my team does a 5 a.m. call, right? And I have to be there for them, but I got to make a decision every morning when my alarm goes off because the thought goes through my head, I could just turn it off this morning and skip the call, right? But I make a conscious decision every day. So if you feel like, oh, it's just not me, like I don't have that drive, that discipline, you do. You just got to make a decision every morning. You got to look in the mirror and ask myself every morning, I got 50 people that rely on me, would I follow me, right? And you got to make a decision every morning. What that answer is how you're going to carry out the rest of your day. All right, discipline equals freedom. This seems like something that doesn't make sense, right? People think like, oh, if you're disciplined, your life isn't going to be that fun and stuff. And I read a book called Jocko Willick's book, Extreme Ownership. And this is a big principle that he puts into the book about how discipline equals freedom. So I'm going to give you some examples of how this works because it applies to everything in life that we do. And it's a mindset shift on the way that we look at doing things. So the first one is health, right? If you're disciplined about your health early in your life, it's going to give you the freedom to live a better life later on in life, right? We look at our parents and our elders and people who didn't take care of themselves, and it's rough, right? It's rough when you're unhealthy and you're suffering from whatever it is, your ailment later on in life. And so probably the most important thing, right, is not your lifespan, it's your health span, right? And what are you doing via discipline today to give you more freedom in your health later on in life? I want to spend a lot of years seeing my grandkids traveling the world when I get to retire and stuff. And if I don't take care of myself now, that's all of the work now is for nothing, right? So it applies to your health. It applies to your relationships, right? The discipline not to fool around on your spouse means you have the freedom of not getting divorced and paying alimony, right? Does it make sense? Like the discipline of being a good friend that follows through with what they say they're going to do gives you the freedom to have a ton of resources in the community, that people that will do stuff for you. This doesn't happen if I don't have people on my team that would just go to bat and work hard and do stuff for me because they know when they call me, I'm going to come through for them, right? I have the discipline to keep my word and show up and perform when I say I'm going to, and it gives me a ton of freedom because I got people that I can rely on to do stuff for me and I don't have to do it anymore, right? So it definitely applies to relationships. To your finances, this one's kind of obvious, right? But if you have the discipline to save money now, spend less money now, you have the financial freedom in the future. It's a very hard thing that most people don't do well, right? But it's a discipline thing. Like, do you really need that extra Louis Vuitton bag, Tiare? Right? Are you on the daily reviewing what you're purchasing and what you're spending money on, and whether or not it's going to create freedom for you in the future, right? So think about it with your finances. In your business, right? The discipline to just get up and go to work every day is hard, but it creates freedom later on in life, or definitely creates freedom on the weekend, right? If you have a disciplined schedule, I'm going to talk a lot about this, and you plan your week out, you can have the weekends off, right? If you have a team, you have a partner, you don't have to do real estate 24/7, 7 days a week. That's a fallacy to be successful in real estate. I rarely work on the weekends. I usually leave the office at 3:00. Like, I'm not this like, I work 80 hours a week in real estate, and BS. You don't have to do that. People are just wasting their time. They're doing busy work and they're not actually being efficient. So it applies to your business, and it applies to your mindset. I refuse to let you bum me out. Refuse. Like, I can have the worst news possible on the phone. I'm going to hang up the phone, and if you coming off stop to me, I'm going to be positive, uplifting, cheery, whatever I need to be, right? So you have to make a decision. You have to have the discipline to decide how other people and exterior things affect you, because it'll give you the freedom to just live a happy life, right? It'll give you the freedom not to get bummed out. I have the discipline not to hang around with crappy people, right? There's only one rule to be on our team. There's only one criteria: no assholes. Okay? That's it. You don't have to have experience. I don't care what you look like. I don't care your demographic. I don't care if you just came from the mainland. None of that stuff matters, right? If you're an asshole, you're out. Yeah, that's it. So very simple. Discipline, and I have the freedom not to deal with assholes. It's super nice. So all about mindset. All right, some principles with this. I aim to live a boring life. Like, I can tell you guys, if you ask me what I'm doing on Tuesday afternoon, I know pretty much 90% of the time what's going to be happening. If you want to know what I'm doing Wednesday morning, I can tell you what I'm doing Wednesday morning. Like, I have a very repeatable, boring life, right? If your life is chaotic and exciting, you're doing something wrong, in my opinion anyway, because you're not going to be able to create repeatable results, right? Repeatable inputs create repeatable results. So if your life is super exciting, like, I think you're probably going to have a hard time having the kind of success that you want, because your life really should be boring and repeatable. You have to identify specific priorities, right? I want to have success. What does that mean? Like, you need to put a dollar amount, a transaction amount, how many calls I'm going to make per day. You got to have very specific outcomes that you want to achieve, and then your priorities will be set around those things, right? So have specific priorities, not like, I want to be able to run faster, right? How many miles do you want to run in what time? Like, what is your specific goal, and identify what those are. Because now you can dedicate sacred time to that work, right? Everybody knows, my wife especially, right? If it's on my calendar, it happens. Like, it stresses me out if I'm going to be late to something, or if I committed to you that I'm going to show up to your event, your meeting, or whatever it is. Very, very rarely does that not happen, because it's sacred, right? We made an agreement. I made a promise to you that I'm going to do this thing for you. There are people that called me yesterday, was like, oh, something came up and I can't make it in the morning. I'm like, man, your priorities are pretty weird. If you ask me, if the amount of value you're going to get out of this event, and you just think like, I'm going to let something just pop up and take over and do that instead. Like, I'm not judging you if you came late, right? But that's just me. Like, I mean, to me, whatever that was, short of like your kids dying or whatever, like, I mean, probably was not as valuable as what you got here today, this morning, right? So identify what your priorities are, and then once it goes in your calendar, it's got to be sacred. It has to be sacred, right? And the same thing is your personal stuff. If there's date night on the calendar, put it in the calendar and don't stray from it, right? Honor that. That's probably one of the most important things you can have in your calendar is quality time with your family, with your spouse, whoever it is. So have sacred time. All right, my phone's going off over there. Who's that? Is that Zillow calling? Okay, practice delayed gratification. This is a hard thing for human beings. I think it's super hard for beginning real estate agents, because there is very little immediate gratification in this business, right? And in life, anything worthwhile is delayed. I heard this really cool thing the other day about backing into parking stalls. Who backs into parking stalls? Oh, hell yeah. Why do you do it? Right, Justin? Because you can just pull out, right? That's delayed gratification, right? You're upfront putting in extra work by reversing in, so afterwards you jump in, you can just pull out and go. Once you're drunk at that point. Potentially, if you're ivory, yeah, right? But everything that we do has to be, that discipline has to be built around, it's gonna pay off in the future, right? I always tell people, 90% of the time that we put in real estate is wasted. It's the 10% that pays a lot of money, right? It's delayed gratification. You gotta show the 9 homes to get to the 10th one that they buy and you make the $20,000 commission off of, right? If you give up on 7 or 8, you never get to 10 and you never get the sale. So you gotta have that delayed gratification mindset always and have the discipline not to feel like, if I'm not getting anything out of this, it's not worth my time. And then having a vision for the long term, right? This goes back to delayed gratification. What is the long-term vision? Why are you doing the small things today? Why are you doing the little routines today? How does it feed the monster, the beast that's in the future, right? And I wish I could tell you that I had like a plan and an intention to build the team that we have today, but I didn't. Like, I just was lazy and I was like, if I can create a process that I can hand this off to another agent and they can do it as good as I do and I don't have to do it anymore, it works. But you know, if it works for one person, it works for 50, it'll work for 100, it'll work for 200, right? And so that's kind of how it started, but I always had a vision that I didn't want to have to do every single part of the real estate business my whole life forever, because I watched my parents do it, I watched a lot of people do it, and that just wasn't what I was into, right? And now we have the opportunity to give systems to an agent that quits their job and 3 months later has 3 in escrow or 3 closed and 5 in escrow. You know, that's a repeatable thing that we can do because there's systems in place. All right, inputs and outcomes. And Carol, give me like a 5-minute because I'm not sure how much time I have, so I'm just gonna keep rapping. All right. Okay, inputs equal outcomes. So, do you have a plan for your inputs? Right? Like I always tell new agents or people that are struggling, how much time did you spend last week on real estate activities? Right? Because usually if you don't have anything going on, you don't put any effort into it. And there's a clear reflection, right? Whatever you put in is what you got out. So do you have a plan? Do you have a plan daily on what I'm doing daily input-wise because I have outcomes that I want to achieve? You got to ask yourself, do you have systems that provide predictable outcomes? Right? What are your systems that will give you an outcome that you know is going to happen? A simple system is if you make 50 calls a day, like Tony said, you're going to get 3 or 4 closings a month. Like it's just going to happen. It's like law of gravity, right? But most people don't put the work into a system in order to get the outcome because it's too hard, right? It's uncomfortable. I don't want to call people. They might be mean to me or whatever it is. But what is the systems? And again, no right answers on systems, right? But think about it. What are you doing on a daily basis? What systems do you have that provide predictable outcomes? And then are you tracking your activities? Are you honest with yourself? Are you keeping track of what you're doing and actually living up to what you promised yourself you were going to do? And then you can really evaluate whether or not it's working, right? Because some people lie to themselves and say, well, it was on my calendar, but I really was just on social media. Like I didn't actually make the calls. And so, it didn't work, right? But are you being honest with yourself, right? And that's why you need an accountability partner, somebody that's going to actually help you track your stuff and keep on top of you. All right, and then does your time budget reflect your priorities? I'm going to talk about a time budget next. We'll just get right into that. My team knows this. They think I'm nuts. But this is a spreadsheet of my time budget, not my schedule. It's the time that I want to spend on activities in my life. So I can visually see and have a plan for how much time I want to allocate. Right? We have financial budgets, right? How much time are we going to allocate to rent throughout the week? But do you have a budget on how much time you want to allocate to sleep? Because you should. Right? You should have a very clear idea of how much time is going to go to sleep, how much time is going to go to work, eating, cooking. I'm in the Army Reserve. I got to spend a certain amount of time every month. The Army requires me to do that. So I got to put my 30 hours in. All of this stuff is on there, right? Kids activities, self-development. I go to jiu-jitsu. That's like something that's very important to me in life. I'll talk more about.
That's the BJJ in case anyone was wondering.
Oh yeah, it's not something weird. Yeah. But everything, right? Community service. So when somebody, and the reason I started this was somebody, they always ask you, can you be on this board? Can you do this volunteer activity? Can you do this thing? And I tell them like, yeah, I got 3 hours. It's already taken per month. And I only have 16 hours of free time left. So I really, I like to spend it on something else than, I'm already doing it on 2 boards and yada, 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 right? So I can scientifically tell somebody when they want me another time commitment, why I'm not available, right? Does it fit into my priorities and my budget, right? So I have a spreadsheet that I can share with you if you're interested in this, but it's a good exercise to go through to really evaluate. You know what's not on here? Watching TV. There's never any assholes. But there's no watching TV, right? There's no playing video games, right? I mean, there's none of that because it's just not a priority and it's not a productive activity, and so it just doesn't go in my budget.
But you never do that, or you?
Like the TV stuff goes into 16 hours a month.
Right.
And that like maybe once every other week I watch a movie with my kids,
I watch Selling Sunset. Is your
I've heard of it because my wife tells me about it, but I've never seen it.
You're an embarrassment.
I've never seen it. I am. All right, going back to the calendar, right? I'm not gonna get into this. Use a damn calendar. If you're not using a calendar, you're wrong. That's it. All right? So now you take your budget, your time budget, and you break it down into actual activities that you now put into your calendar, right? So you want to spend X amount of hours doing this thing throughout the month, and now you put it on a weekly basis. Use recurring activities. I love recurring activities, right? If I'm going to do something weekly, it goes in, I put it in once, I make it recurring forever until I stop it, and that's how I know it's on my calendar every week, no matter what, until the end of time. It should be predictable and consistent. Already talked about this, right? It should be something that you're doing on Wednesday mornings from 10 to 11. We do our team meetings every week. That's sacred time. Nobody can ever get into that time. Very rarely is that something that I'm going to cancel because I can't be there because I got people that rely on me to be at that meeting, right? So same thing. I tell my team members when they call me and say, "Oh, I can't make it this week." I'm like, "Hey, if you got better priorities than being at my meeting, cool. Like that's up to you, right? It doesn't hurt my feelings. It's up. You make your priorities, not me. So if you got something that's more pressing, you make that decision. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. All right, stick to it. Once it's in there, be sacred about it and do it. Okay, so we're going to talk about creating efficiency with saving time. And this is something I'm obsessed with lately. And I really try and get intentional about this. And so what this means is I'm going to give you like some personal examples of how to create more time in your life, right? Because I try and get the maximum amount done in the most amount of time, right? In everything that I do. And so here's some simple personal examples. I know I'm dressed like to the nines today, right? Especially with these shoes and shit, right? But who hangs out with me on the daily? What do I wear?
EXP Polo.
I have 5 EXP polo shirts and 3 EXP t-shirts, and that's what I wear every single day. I learned this from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs always had a black t-shirt on. He said he wanted to spend 0 energy or brain power picking out his wardrobe, so he wore the same thing every single day. So me too. Like I have the same 5 shirts. I go to my closet, I pick it out, and I wear it. I spend 0 time or energy thinking about what I'm wearing on a daily basis. So I save time, right? Because I don't have to look in the mirror and check and stuff like that. All right, my haircut. I don't believe bald is beautiful, right? I don't believe that. And if you're bald, that's cool. But I probably have great hair. I don't know. I've been shaving my head since I was 14. But my haircut is efficient. It's cheap, right? I shave my head every Sunday afternoon. I never have to go to a salon. It doesn't cost me anything. I replace the buzzer like every 2 or 3 years. It costs like $25 on Amazon. Right? So very efficient. Get out the shower, wipe my head off, I go to work, right? There's no like styling it or look in the mirror. I never have to check when I go to the bathroom if my hair is good, right? Just efficient, saves me a lot of time. All right? I do shower. And the shower is faster because I ain't got to wash my hair. Just scrub my head with the washcloth and I'm good, right? Everything's faster. All right? This is serious stuff, you guys. I put a lot of brain power into this. Books. I probably consume between 20 or 30 books a year, right? A couple a month is kind of like my clip. But I do them on audiobooks, and I do them at 1.5 times the speed, right? So you can speed it up and you can listen to it faster. And Sorry, I'm killing Shireen over here. All right? And wait, I'm not done, Shireen, I'm not done. I never listen to a book if I'm not doing something else. So it's always a 2x activity, right? So I listen to books when I exercise in the morning. I listen to books when I weed whack. I listen to books in the car. I never listen to the radio in the car. But I'm always consuming information while I'm doing something else that I can pay attention to. Does that make sense? So I'm really getting 2.5 times the time out of it because I'm listening to the book at 1.5 times. Plus I'm doing something else that I do anyways, right? So super efficient. That's right. This could be all day. All right? Exercise. So I've actually done research on this. Like, what is the most efficient types of exercise? Because I want to do it in the least amount of time and get the maximum amount of benefit, right? So bodyweight exercises, kettlebells. If you need some personal training tips, I'll give you some. But I do stuff 30 minutes. Get up in the morning, do my 5 a.m. call. I go outside 30 minutes. I go hard for 30 minutes, and I'm good for the day. Maximum amount of output for the minimum amount of effort, right? So in addition to that, I do jiu-jitsu. There's nothing in life that is more stress relieving and builds more cardiovascular strength that I found in doing that. And it also prepares me for the apocalypse because I'll probably be able to kill 90% of the population if we get into it, right? So very, very efficient activity to prepare myself for the apocalypse. All right, okay, I'm almost done with the personal stuff. Driving, okay? Driving. Boom, right? Everybody's like, oh, I got a Tesla. Is it great? I'm like, it's great because it drives itself, and I'm answering emails, doing social media posts, like, don't tell Wendy's husband, because he's a policeman. But that is like, I didn't realize it in the beginning, but it's like the most time efficient thing that I've done in like a very long time. So I highly recommend buying a Tesla because you can duplicate your time. I can listen to an audiobook, drive, and respond to your contract questions all at the same time when I'm driving my Tesla. So there you go.
Can I just say that, like, the goal is to emulate, like, if you emulate what we want to be. Imagine me and Scott, I come back next year, we're bald. We are wearing t-shirt, EXP t-shirt only.
So again, some of this is practical for you guys. Some of it's practical, some of it's recommended. Yay, take it. Well, this is me. You do you. All right. So, business examples. Let's get serious. All that stuff is important on the personal side, but on the business side, I have templates for absolutely everything. Like, I believe you should only create things one time. If you write the same email twice, you're wrong, right? You should have a library of emails every time you open escrow. It's exactly the same, and all you say is it's hi Chris, hi Ashley, hi Shireen. That's all you need to change in the email, because the email you send when you open escrow is pretty much the same 99% of the time, right? And that is true of many things that you do in life. Canva templates that Justice was talking about, contract templates for zip forms. There is a template for everything, and you should just do things once and update as needed as you go throughout your business and throughout your life. Automations. This is a systems thing, but there's so many systems out there that will automate what you do, right? Zapier, when a lead comes into my KB Core CRM, that also goes to my MailChimp email blast system. It also goes to my Facebook custom audience, and I can retarget them on Facebook. It also goes to my Google contacts, so that contact is already in my phone. I don't ever double enter data. That's crazy, right? Because you can automate this stuff, and Zapier is free. It doesn't even cost you anything. So I could go through actually 2 hours on systems, but what can you do to automate your life? When a new lead comes into the system, shout out to Kelly. Where's Kelly at over here? We have arguably the most badass CRM follow-up system that I've ever seen. But when a lead comes in, we identify are they short-term, medium-term, long-term. They get a series of emails that's going to potentially go to them for years based on what their buyer profile is. Right now, they're going to get emails from me and the team telling them about how to buy property in Hawaii. We never have to call them again if they never answer our calls or they don't get back to us or whatever. Automation, right? I'm never going to waste a lead that comes in. I'm going to talk to you for years, and we just about to convert my brother and I a lead from 6 years ago. I haven't talked to this dude in 6 years, but he's like, I love your emails every week. I really appreciate you send those to me. We're ready to list a lot, right?
What is Zapier? Sorry, what kind?
It is a API connector. So you basically can take mostly any open source system, and then you can connect them up and make them do things together.
Okay.
So check it out.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Ooh, shoot, I gotta start rolling. All right, assistants. Get an assistant to help you do stuff that you don't want to do or that isn't worth your time. Right? As a real estate agent, you should be getting paid $200 or $300 an hour. If you can pay an assistant $20 an hour to do something, do it. Transaction coordinator, same thing with an assistant. You shouldn't be doing transactions yourself if you wanna produce at a high level, and then systems.
Calabas is the best person in the world.
Absolutely. Shout out to Calabas. Okay, and last thing on your business, I preach about this all the time, but if you're not doing video, you're wrong. Video is the most scalable, efficient way to do sales and real estate that I've ever seen. My YouTube channel gets between 6 and 8 hours of watch time daily, right? Daily. I'm talking to people daily. And I don't have a big YouTube channel. I'm not like some huge YouTuber, but on the daily, we also get calls of people saying, hey, can you write up this offer for me? Love your videos. Never met the person, right? Never talked to them. I mean, but they know, like, and trust me because they've been watching me on YouTube. So whatever you do, video first, because that's the most scalable asset you can possibly have. I can shoot a month's worth of content in about 45 minutes, and now I'm getting 200 hours of watch time a month off of those 45 minutes. The most efficient way to do client connections and build relationships digitally than there is, and man, nobody does it. I mean, like, nobody's doing it. It's so easy to dominate this market because nobody's doing it. So do video. Or you're wrong. Okay, we're Remember, I love mantras, right? So my team gets these all the time, but I'm gonna share a couple of my favorite ones with you. Everything is hard before it's easy. You have to choose your hard, right? Everything that's worth doing, success is freaking hard. It sucks sometimes, right? But you gotta choose your hard. You know what's harder than doing the hard thing in real estate? You guys know? You guys know? It's being poor. That's what's hard, you know? So you gotta decide, right? You gotta decide. Are you gonna do the hard thing that's gonna make you money? You're gonna be poor. You gotta decide, because either one is gonna be hard, right? I'd rather do the hard rich thing than the hard poor thing. It's just me. All right, to get what you've had, you got to do what you've never done, right? You got to change something. I mean, if you want to get a level of success, you want to get a level of fitness, you want to get a level of education, you got to do something you haven't done before. And that's a hard thing, I think, to grasp, is to get out of your comfort zone, but it's something that I live by every day. It's like, what could I do today that I haven't done before that is going to lead to the next thing that I want to do in life, right? So you got to do the hard thing. And last, you can't deposit excuses. Right? Everybody's got excuses why they can't do something and they don't want to do something or whatever it is. But just remember, at the end of the day, it's paychecks you take to the bank, not excuses, right? So I got that on my wall outside. I look at that every morning. Every morning when I go outside to exercise, it's cold. I take off my shirt. It's uncomfortable. It's the last thing I want to do. But I'm like, you know what? I look on the wall, it says I can't deposit excuses. And it starts with that, because I do the worst thing I'm going to do that day, first thing in the day. And then it's over. Everything else seems easy, right? People are like, I'm so high energy every day. I'm like, well, I start the morning by drinking like 300 milligrams of caffeine, and then I go outside and I get a workout in and get my blood pumping, and that's what gets the day going. And if you start your day that way, the rest of the day is easy, right? The rest of the day is easy. There's no sluggish time throughout the day. All right. So last thing, the secret sauce to develop productive routines, right? Secret sauce, just do it. Just do it. Like, it's too easy, right? Figure out what your routine is going to be, build your calendar, and freaking do it. That's it. It's not complicated. The hardest thing is just doing it. And I guess I should attribute that to Nike. I don't know. But anyway, am I good? Okay. My 5 minutes is up, right? All right, so